judges. So now I'm going to talk about the different types of speech and debate that you're going to see at a tournament. So we have lots of different types of speech and lots of different types of debate that students can choose from. And the reason that we do that is to give every student a chance to express themselves on their own terms. So they get to choose what type of speech and what type of debate really fits their interests, their topics, their style. So I'm going to tell you what those are. So first, we have a couple of categories in original speech. So original speech is any type of speech where students wrote it themselves. Most typically, it's about 10 minutes in length at a high school tournament. And students are divided into novice, JV, and varsity divisions. Novices can use notes, and varsity students have it all memorized. So in original speech, we have a few different categories. First is original oratory, then is original advocacy, then is informative, and finally, original prose and poetry. So original oratory and original advocacy are both persuasive speeches. Original oratory is where a student comes up with a problem that they see in society, and their job is to persuade you that that is a problem. It's the same in advocacy. The only difference is that the student offers a solution or a piece of legislation that they think can solve the problem. Informative speech is really interesting because students are trying to inform you about a particular topic. They're not trying to persuade you, they're trying to inform you. Most typically, this involves the use of visual aids. So they have these posters that they design themselves, and their job is to teach you about that topic. You judge that based on the interest level of that topic, or what kinds of facts they offered, what kinds of support. Original prose and poetry is one of my favorite events, the one I used to do. That one is basically creative writing. So students will actually write a play or sometimes a unique monologue or a piece of creative writing, and they act that out without the use of props or costumes. So this is where students really get to exercise their creativity and their inner playwright. Then is the category of interpretation. There are a lot of different types of speech in interpretation, and they're usually ending with I in their acronyms. So you'll see a lot of acronyms on your ballot, and so you'll see what that looks like in the following ways. So the first is humorous interpretation, HI. The next is dramatic interpretation, or DI. Then is programmed oral interpretation, or POI. Finally, duo interpretation, or duo, and declamation, or dec. So HI and DI, these two humorous or dramatic forms of interpretation, is where one student takes a piece of published literature, HI is humorous, dramatic interpretation is dramatic, and they actually act it out without any props or costumes. So they've distilled a piece of published literature down to 10 minutes, and they perform it for you. Duo is the same thing, but with two people. But they're also not allowed to look at each other or touch each other during the course of the performance. POI, or programmed oral interpretation, is where students actually have a binder and they're presenting a program of different types of literature for you. It's all tied together with one theme, but they actually present poetry, a play, a little bit of prose, and they also explain their theme throughout, and that is a total of 10 minutes. Finally, declamation is where students take a published speech that someone else gave, some other famous person, and they actually deliver that speech as if they're the speaker. So that can look like a TED Talk or a commencement speech or something like that. Now going on to limited preparation events. Limited prep is spontaneous speaking. So students in a couple of different formats actually get to give their opinions about something, but with very limited preparation. The categories include impromptu speech, international extemporaneous speaking, national extemporaneous speaking. So impromptu, or IMP, is where students actually get 2 minutes to create a 5-minute speech on a set of 3 prompts. And that can be a set of 3 random words, a set of 3 quotes, a set of 3 random current events, or anything else. And so you as the judge actually have an extra step with impromptu speaking where you're given a set of different topics, and one at a time, you actually have to give the set of options to the student and time their preparation time for 2 minutes, and then they speak in front of you. Each speaker gets another set of prompts. Now, IX, or International Extemporaneous Speaking, is where students actually get a question about foreign affairs, and they get 30 minutes to prepare a 7-minute speech about that prompt, and they have to answer the question that is posed for them. They actually do that preparation outside of the room, and then they come in one at a time and share their speech with you. And that's anything having to do with foreign affairs. And so students might be talking about different types of countries, but they're given a question. And as a judge, you need to determine whether or not they actually answered the question. National extemporaneous speaking is actually the same, except that they get domestic topics instead of international ones, and they get 30 minutes to prepare a 7-minute speech, giving their stance on that particular question. So those were the different types of speech. Now, in our tournament at the Berman Tournament every year, and sometimes in our own in-house tournaments at the practice space, we also offer unconventional speech events where students have shorter speeches that they give, 2 minutes or 3 minutes. We like to be a little fun with those. Sometimes they're things like breaking news or fictional storytelling. We also have an option to do improv with different props. And we also have a Spanish-speaking event where they advocate about an issue that's important to them, but in Spanish. So we have a lot of different types of kind of more unconventional events to increase accessibility to speech and debate, and you'll get more instructions on those particular events at the tournament itself. We also have a few different forms of debate. First is parliamentary debate. And we have a separate video going over those details, but basically it is a 2 versus 2 debate that is modeled after the House of Parliament. And students will debate different types of topics every time, and you get to decide who won. We also have a few different mini types of debate, for example, SPAR debate, and those are more particular to different types of tournaments, and you'll get more details about that at the actual event. So I know that was a lot of information, a lot of different formats. They're provided to you at the tournament itself. You'll get a cheat sheet there. So don't worry too much if you don't know exactly all of the different formats. All you have to know is that there's different types of original work and also on-the-spot work and also published work and debate. So thank you, everybody.